Welcome back, loyal fight fans. You know where you're at, don't you? This is Unboxing. I'm your humble host, and the first thing we always ask of you guys is to please, kindly, from the bottom of my heart, thumbs up for the video. I work long and hard being very involved in the sport of boxing. Rewatching on fights is always a must. I give you guys good picks. We are 5 weeks in a row of straight picks, including 2 different big parlays, 2 different close odds fights, and an underdog. We kicked it off last week, knocked it out of the park with the Tim Tszyu pick over Tony Harrison. But also, I got to give you this spiel, because we love it on this show. If you know a friend, if you know a family member, a crazy ex-girlfriend, a homeless guy, a prostitute, anybody that you meet on the street, ask them, do you like boxing? You should check out this show and share it around. Share the content around, because that is what always helps grow your favorite YouTube channels. So for this week, we're going to be recapping the Tim Tszyu Tony Harrison fight real quick. Then we're going to move on to a quick little talk about, unfortunately, what is guaranteed to be a mismatch with Zurdo Ramirez versus Gabriel Rosado, the Puerto Rican Rocky, who we absolutely love on this show, by the way. And then because we've been giving you guys really good picks, trying to help you win some money, we've been winning some money, God bless me. Because that Zurdo Ramirez Gabe Rosado fight is a complete mismatch. Those odds, if you haven't seen them, are not great. They are. It's not gonna. I wouldn't feel good jumping on here and being like, yeah, we'll bag up a 6 week in a row picking a minus 4,000 favorite. That fight's quite obvious. So, as I work hard for you guys, trying to help you guys out, we dived into this UFC card. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Alejandro, as I talked with him extensively about this. And he is definitely an MMA head. We put together a really good parlay list for you guys that we think is quite fantastic, so that you can win really good money this weekend instead of just taking the easy road and picking a minus 4,000 favorite and leaving it as that and claiming that we have 6 weeks in a row. Nope, we want to win good money every single weekend. So, yeah, we called it Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison. Unfortunate a little bit to watch because I am a Tony Harrison fan, but you know, this is kind of how I do these odds, right? About giving picks and based on the odds and whatnot. Tim Tszyu, the favorite. We like going with the favorites. We're not really big on underdogs, though we do call some sometimes. I'm also going to give you, in this UFC pick list, by the way, really good parlay that seems to be safe, that I'm very confident in. But I'm going to tell you, aside from that, what we won't count is if you guys do want a good underdog, I got one for this UFC card for sure, if you guys wanted to go that route. But nonetheless, we called the Tim Tszyu not only winning, but stopping Tony Harrison late. He stopped him in the 9th round, kind of just like we said. And the fight played out kind of even more in depth, like we said, about how Tony Harrison is a good boxer, a kind of a better boxer, but been through a lot of wars, been knocked out before, questionable chin at this stage in his career, a little bit older. God bless the man. He came to fight and he won some rounds. Judges had it, I think it was, what did they have it? 5-3 for Tim Tszyu. And I'm okay with that. That seems about right to me. You definitely got to give Tony Harrison at least 3 rounds in that fight. He put on a good show of himself. The fight unfortunately kind of played out as we called it, but again, we're happy that we called it. We gave you guys the good information on that. Now we'll do a more in-depth breakdown, obviously, as we always do. When the Jermell Charlo holding all of those belts, all 5 of those belts unified as the undisputed champion of the world there. If he takes on Tim Tszyu, we'll give you a better breakdown on that fight. But I will say that right now, you know, Tim Tszyu looked really good in that fight. And, you know, most likely I'm going to pick Jermell Charlo to beat him. But that fight, I mean, after watching Tim Tszyu batter Tony Harrison in that way, before he stopped him too, that referee, man, straight out of the 20s, straight out of the 1920s, was he not? Just unwilling to stop that fight until Tony Harrison's just like laying there dead pretty much. He did stop him when he got up and was on the shaky legs and whatnot. He did stop it, but man, you could have stopped that fight on the feet for sure. I do want to throw that out there if we're talking about this fight for just a quick second. You really could have stopped that fight on the feet. And you always get a couple of idiots that'll complain about anything. But I really think majority of the time, like I complain about early stoppages sometimes, I really think the majority of fans that knew anything of what they're looking at, anybody with an opinion, basically put it this way, that matters at all, I doubt would have complained if you would have stopped that fight before letting the man get dropped the way that he did. He was taking a lot of punishment and not throwing offense back at him. And that's kind of your clear-cut way of doing it. You can see bad knockouts happen, and good referees try to stop it before it does. But if a man's throwing back with the shots, you know, that's kind of your one clue to, like, he's still willing to fight, and he hasn't been hurt so badly. He's been hurt probably, but not so badly that he's not unwilling to continue to take risks and throw his own offense back. And when you don't see that, and you see a guy just kind of shell up and get put against the ropes and get battered on and not throw shots back for what felt like a good 60 seconds, man, like a full-on minute of the 3-minute round. If that might be exaggerating a tad, but really it felt like that. That might actually be spot on. He didn't throw back shots at all for a while, and he was just taking punishment, just trying to shell up. And at that point, you know, unfortunately, it's just to call it as it is. You've checked out. You've checked out, and you're in survival mode. So you might as well stop the fight at that point. That's my opinion. But yeah, we gave you that pick. Now we're gonna talk real quick about this mismatch. This is a mismatch fight. Gabriel Rosado versus, you know, Zurdo Ramirez. Zurdo Ramirez, an undefeated guy. I'm going to just lay this out for you. Zurdo Ramirez was undefeated until his last fight when he got fucked up and just schooled boxing-wise. Not a war, not trading, just outboxed thoroughly by Dimitri Bivol. That was the only time, his last fight, that he finally took a loss. So before that, he was undefeated. Zurdo Ramirez is young. Zurdo Ramirez has not fought very good competition, but he does have about 45 fights at this point, pro fights, under his belt, nonetheless. Zurdo Ramirez, also huge, absolutely enormous. He literally could be a heavyweight, and that might be stretching it, but no lie, he's a natural cruiserweight. He's not a natural light heavyweight. He is not a natural light heavyweight. He sucks his body down. His weight cuts must be absolutely horrible to be a weight bully, kind of in that weight class. So he is as big as a human being could possibly be without dying of a weight cut at lightweight, right? And then you have a guy in Gabriel Rosado who, God bless him, has fought absolutely nothing but the stiffest, hardest competition that he could get his hands on. You know, fought Triple G, fought Daniel Jacobs, fought Jaime Munguia, you know, upset Bekdamir Melikuziev, Beck the Bully, the young up-and-coming. He has fought nothing but hard fights. He's pulled a couple out, some really great upset wins for him. And he's lost quite a few fights as well. That's due to his absolute strength of resume in the competition that he has been fighting. He is literally an 80s fighter, or even back for even like an 80s fighter or a 70s fighter. Just pulled right into this generation, fought nothing but the best, and has taken all sorts of damage and devastating, you know, stoppage losses along the way. Like that Triple G one was horrible to watch. He is a shock-worn fighter. He is also older. The mileage on him adds a lot of years because of all the damage that he has taken over his long career. And he is just a guy that, unfortunately, at this point, you know, with the Shane Mosley Jr. loss, where he could have beat a guy like that, we thought, you know, and the Ahmadallah fight, which that was going to be a tough fight, but he could have he could have done a lot more in that fight, even in a loss. I think the guy should have just maybe retired, and instead he goes, nope, I'm going to fight this sturdy-ass competition. I'm not going to retire. And then I'm also just going to continue to fight these super hard elite fighters. And I'll do you one better. I have no business being in light heavyweight, but I'm going to move up there. And then I'm going to fight the biggest light heavyweight that there is in the whole division. It's just really going to be tough to watch. And again, but I want to bring you through that strength of resume talk that I just had with you. And also I want to refer you to the Unknown to Casuals episodes that I do on this channel. You'll see them throughout because we do about once a month, maybe once every month and a half. We do one. And one of the last couple down, if you go and find these on the channel, is features Gabriel Rosado, the Puerto Rican Rocky, you know, Gabe King Rosado. That man, his resume is just like a who's who when you look down it. He has fought literally everybody. And so God bless him. But this is a bad look. This fight shouldn't be that close. You know, the minus 4,000 favorite, of course, these are how you get things usually in boxing odds. They stack it on to try to get you to throw some money on old Gabe, because he is a plus 1,100 favorite. So if you put $100, you won $1,100 if he on top of your 100 if he won. That kind of speaks, though, whether you agree with those odds or not, that really does speak to the absolute mismatch of this fight. So, anyways, we're going to move on from that. We're going to get into the beefy part of the show right here, the good stuff that you came for. You guys want to win money, no? Okay, well, I got some good picks for you. UFC 286, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. The card down the way is quite stacked. There were some changes in the fights that were first put on this card, but not so many, not nearly as many as have happened before in the UFC. So hopefully we get to see all of these fights. I have talked extensively with my brother-in-law Alejandro about this. He is an MMA head to the fullest. I made a list myself. I asked him if he'd add anybody to it, take anybody off of it. We talked all day long while I was at work. We were all day long. I'm checking my phone, going back and forth, and we really put together this list. I also took off some that I had on my own. This is something that I'm very proud of to bring you. This is a plus $255 to your $100. So plus 255 parlay for 4 fight picks. And these are them: Juliana Miller over Veronica Macedo, now Veronica Hardy, I guess, Dan Hardy's wife, at minus 454 favorite. That's the first fight on the card. And also, if we cross that hump, I always feel a lot better. That'd be one. That's the first fight on the card. You throw that on there. And then this is straight from, you know, my brother Ollie, who gave me this one. Hadn't really heard of this guy, but he's so high on him and just raised me in confidence for this. And also, I've looked up some other videos about the guy to make sure for myself. And it appears to actually literally be so helpful that he gave me this, because this is probably your best value on the card as far as odds go, is Christian Duncan. Christian Duncan, the up-and-comer, I believe he's 7-0 now, and he is only a minus 212. So that's the guy that's boosting our money up. We want Christian Duncan over Dushko, Dushko Todorovic. But yeah, Christian Duncan, a new up-and-comer. You know, I hope that didn't fuck up the video. I'm getting these texts and things. Then we want the most solid pick that I have for this card. the most confident that I am about any of these fights, because I am a big Justin Gaethje fan, but this is the most confident I am of all of the fights on the card. Is we want Rafael Fiziev over Justin Gaethje at minus 243. I also think these odds are generous in our favor and a good value for them. And then finally, we want Kamaru Usman over Leon Edwards at minus 250 because lightning does not strike twice in the same place. And that is a good rule of thumb to live by if you see a fight where odds are so extravagant for a guy who is a pound-for-pound talent, and then in the last minute of winning the fight 3 rounds to 1, blocks low when he should have blocked high. He zigged when he should have zagged, and he got head kicked, and that was that. Now we bring the odds down, but Kamaru Usman, rightfully so, as he was the pound-for-pound king, still a favorite at minus 250. So these 4 fights right here, that's going to bring us to that plus 255. Those are the fights you want. Juliana Miller, Christian Duncan, Rafael Fiziev, Kamaru Usman. And then, so that's my sturdy list for you guys. That's the one we're going to go off of next week and say, I told you so if we get these right. That is my list that I feel very strong about, that I've put together with some help throughout the day. And then I'm gonna sweeten the pot a little. If you guys want to get crazier and win some more money, I really don't think this is bad either. But that was the list. That's what we're going off of. But now I'm gonna add some stuff on if you guys wanted to get crazier on top of that. If you added simply the Joanne Calderwood fight going the full distance, now we're up to plus 355, a whole nother $100. And these are both women's. Calderwood fighting another girl who's not very strong. These girls don't get stoppages that much, these 2 girls. And I see that fight going the distance. If you throw that on there, that's plus 355 for your money. And who is your underdog for those who are really risky? Now, I will not be doing this, but if you're really risky and you want an underdog pick from me, it's going to be Roman Dolidze. It's going to be Roman Dolidze to beat Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori, good wrestler, but Roman Dolidze, good grappler, and you don't necessarily want to go to the ground with him. And then the best case against a guy like Roman Dolidze is stick, move, like the Jack Hermanson fight. Although he lost, he moves around real well. You want to do that. You want to do that sort of thing. You want to stay to your basics, and you want to jab the guy, and you want to move around. But that's not who we're dealing with Marvin Vettori. He's a straight come-forward guy. Now, he's tough to knock out because he's got a fucking brick right in between his shoulders. That's what he uses for a head, a goddamn brick. But not a good striker. And although he's very powerful in his control because good wrestling technique, not a really powerful striker, and not good striking either at all from Marvin Vettori, to be honest with you. And so I would think that Roman Dolidze at plus money, I believe that he is a plus 180 or a plus 200 alone to pick that. So if you wanted an underdog, that's the one. But we're going with the list: Juliana Miller, Christian Duncan, Rafael Fiziev, and Kamaru Usman for plus 255. And then that's going to be about $100 or so dollars, maybe $150 that I throw on that. Because here's the deal. If you threw $200 on this, you're winning slightly over $500 this weekend. Mark my words on that. So we're going to probably throw about $150 on that, and then another 50 with that same list and the Calderwood fight going the distance for a plus 355, where we're going to take out another $150, $170 off of $50 if that fight goes the distance. So until next time, loyal fight fans, I hope you appreciate the work. I hope you appreciate the work. I hope you meet me back here next weekend and you can thank me because I'm giving you good picks, and we're riding this train high as we're doing well right now. All times are not always good times, but we stick with it. These are really good times. There's no better time to subscribe to the channel and to really listen to your boy if you want to win some money.